That's
shit.
not relevant to tonight's topic.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you guys can't,
How
just
about you have an argument today? I'm like barely even here. I'm here to fill a square. That is it.
not to fill a slot.
Yeah, I
Nope,
saw
it's
that.
not my job.
Okay. Well, I guess that's okay then. Doing this whole pre-show rambling thing is a lot more fun when Kenny's here, and he's not
He doesn't know
expecting
that
it.
it's
Hey,
happening.
live!
Yeah. Yes, we are live.
I've started
Oh.
realizing that I should pay attention, like
Yeah.
5 minutes before, because he does turn it
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So.
That's
Sometimes
sneaky.
I'm on the ball
Yeah.
tonight. I guess
I
tonight.
was thinking that I might provoke James and Miranda into arguing about League of Legends and Dota, but
Oh,
then I
please.
found out that Miranda likes League of Legends too. So
Surprise! Unlike a lot of people online, we can choose
Yes.
not to be assholes to people we don't know.
Yeah,
It's weird.
surprise. I like video games.
Yeah.
I don't have to just like one.
what? You like video games?
Get out!
I should tell you there's this great show on the internet, and it starts a little something like this. It's another ridiculous night as my round table joins me, Ben, the ridiculous Riddick, and rants concerning the nerd culture of yesterday and today. Joining me at my round table to discuss whether or not games and movies are announced too early, I have the always lovely Nikki the Powerful Powell.
Hi.
Over in Capelli's corner, I have James Capelli.
What's up?
You guys are very energetic today. I hope our special guest, the Xbox
trying
correspondent.
to be suave and chill.
Okay.
The loof. Don't look at me.
Keep
Stop.
trying. You keep trying, James. Maybe
Okay.
one day you'll get there.
I got you a new pet.
Oh, cool. I've always wanted one. And of course, also joining us today, I have the NKRN Xbox correspondent, Miranda Sanchez.
Hello.
Wow,
Also,
you too.
not super energetic today.
Jeez.
It's been
I
one
didn't
of those
notice.
days. It was the Dota International is going on, and all the teams I wanted.
We're gonna talk about games and our feeling. Just chill out, you know.
So, Miranda, you mentioned the internationals going on.
Yeah, and all the
$10
teams
million,
I wanted.
right?
I think that's the prize pool. Yeah, 10 million is the prize pool. Third
Gotcha.
place is going home with $1 million,
Hmm.
or just went home with $1 million. Because I'm so sad. All the teams I wanted to win got knocked out. So now the two people who are the two teams that are competing in the grand finals on Monday tomorrow, are teams I don't really care about. So
What teams are in
kind
the
of a
final?
bummer. There's this one team called Vichy. They're Chinese, I think. I think they're from China. And then the other one is called Newbie, and they're from China. So this year,
Navi.
it's just I
Navi
think
made it
they're
again.
both from China. I'm pretty sure. Huh?
No
Navi?
American
Oh,
representation.
they got. So third place was actually the American team. So like they're kind of the first one. There is another one called Liquid, but they got kicked out before the finals started happening. So
Darn.
yeah, and then there's a North American team because they're mainly Canadian, and that was Cloud9, and they got kicked out early
Cloud9.
this morning. Yeah, they got kicked out this morning. They were the first ones to get kicked out today.
Oh.
So it was sad, but
Yeah.
okay,
I think it's
so it is-
cool that the national championship is being broadcast on ESPN3.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah,
like,
I think
congrats,
that's awesome.
you made it to national spelling bee level.
Yay!
Yay!
This will be
The
great.
Dota 2 championships are being simultaneously broadcast in the annual spelling bee, of course. So how do you spell viper?
Piece
Because-
of shit. That's what you spell it as.
It's funny. I saw that tweet that Brian tweeted earlier today, and the only character that I actually got a couple of champion kills on was the Viper, and you hurt my feelings, Miranda.
Your feelings should just be, I wish I smashed your feelings. I don't just want to hurt them. If you're playing Viper, you're doing something incredibly wrong.
Holy crap, Miranda!
He's the worst. I wish I could take his code and just polarize it. Just find it, just Cop it out.
Better or worse than using Pudge, though?
Oh, Pudge,
He's
everybody
worse than
loves Pudge.
Pudge. He's worse than Pudge.
He's
In my
worse than
opinion.
Pudge.
People will be like, no, Miranda, no, Pudge is worse. I'm like, no, Viper, no. Like, you can take down Viper. It's like, then we play a game with Viper, and they're like, oh, Viper. I'm like, I told you! But, I hate him so much. He's just the worst. But that's my feelings about Viper. He's a piece of shit.
Alrighty. Well, now that we know Miranda's true feelings, let's start the show with the segment we always start the show with, and that is, what the hell are you doing with your life? James, let's start with you, because I always start with the ladies, and I'm going to continue that trend.
Yeah, they're clever. Original, Ben.
Thanks.
So I have been watching an anime called Sword Art Online.
Which
and I
season?
Season 1 still,
Okay.
because that's on Netflix. I'm almost done with it, though. I think I got 4 episodes left. But I'm addicted to the show. It's really, really good.
Give
Premise
me a
is,
quick summary. Yeah,
quick
thank you.
summary is there's this virtual reality game that's like an MMO. You put on like this visor and it like overrides your brain senses to put you in the game completely. And so they all get there, they find out they can't log out, and the game creator shows up and says, you guys can't log out until you beat the game. And this isn't like a few hours thing, this is going to be like months.
That actually sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Kinda.
Sword Art Online.
Yeah.
And the characters are really, which is what drives it.
Yeah, and if you die in the game,
You die in
for
real life.
real.
Wow, that is monumental. That's a game changer right there. I feel like no one's ever done that before.
Yeah.
do
Not
really
not
well,
any
though.
about it. That's for
They
sure.
do it well, though.
I finished Ready Player One the other day.
And what'd you think?
I liked it. I wished it had a little bit more resolution with
Mhm.
the ramifications in the real world. But I mean, you can kind of feel them like, so what's going to happen. So it wasn't completely necessary, but I kind of wish they did. But I liked it. It was good. Let's see. I've been playing Hearthstone. I got Divinity: Original Sin. Been playing it with my friends still.
How
That's-
is that? That
It's
looks kind of enjoyable.
If you've ever played any of the old school action RPGs like Baldur's Gate, there's a bunch of other titles I can't remember. That's the big one. It is a great throwback to it. So much work went into it, and it's excellent. It's a very fun, good game. Fun, good game. Not sure I'd want to play it by myself because I never played Baldur's Gate that much. I liked it, but it's a heavy investment, and the whole concept of like, you and your one person you're playing with both want different decisions. You have to argue over which one you want to do. So it's pretty cool. So I've been enjoying that. That's what I'm doing.
Good.
Game of Thrones, still reading that, of course.
Well, good. I'm glad you're still reading.
Me too, Ben.
Got to keep
Me too.
that brain sharp, James. Nikki, what have you been doing with your life?
I've been doing a lot of very unnerdy things this week. The nerdiest thing I did was I started Infamous 2, and I probably got like 45 minutes in.
Oh.
And then I got tired or something, or I had to go to work or something happened. I don't know, but I stopped playing it. I'll get back to it. But
So,
I've been
Nikki,
watching...
When you play through Infamous 2, will you do me a favor?
Maybe.
Whichever ending you get,
Uh-huh.
if you don't play through a second time, will you at least look up the other ending?
I think I'm going to have to, because I was talking this over with G, and he thinks that this is the one that I can platinum for the year.
Okay.
So I think that this will be the one that I play a second time.
Yes, okay, good.
I have G's blessing to platinum this game this year.
Well, I always
that
talk
one's
to him
actually
about it, 'cause if
really
it's like-
easy. That one's a really easy
Yeah.
platinum.
So that's what I've been told, is that it's pretty easy, but it's not like Walking Dead easy. They're not just going to give it to me. Like, I actually have to work for it. But it's more likely that I'll get this one than the first one, and I was having fun getting the first one, but there was stuff I was not going to get it once I looked over the trophies again.
Collectible things.
Yeah. So this will be the one that I'm hopefully platinuming. So I most likely will see both endings, I'm hoping.
Good. Because this one, it like I said, it's really worth seeing both the good and the bad ending, and I won't spoil anything for you because I know how you are about spoilers on games that are more than 5 years old.
On games that I haven't played before. Come on.
Miranda,
Yes.
what have
I've-
you been doing?
I've been playing and watching a lot of Dota.
No way.
That's a lot of what I do. But I have also been playing Tomodachi Life on my 3DS. I started to grow some zucchini, and they've peeked out of the ground, and they got little leaves. They're so cute. Um, and I've been catching up on Sailor Moon and Legend of Korra this weekend. So
How is Legend of Korra? I've been really debating on watching through the Avatar series again.
Mhm.
Just so I could start watching Legend of Korra because I've heard good things.
it's
I want to hear from you
really
though.
good. Did you watch Did you watch the original series? Did you watch Last Airbender?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, if you haven't seen it in a while, you'll be fine. I mean, just remember some things. I think you'd be fine. Like, I haven't watched it since it was on TV. It's been a really long time. I just jumped into Korra when it came out, and it's good.
But I enjoy rewatching good things.
Yeah,
it's
I
one of
mean,
those shows I
rewatched
can
it.
go back and watch again. I love Last Airbender.
Yeah, that's really good.
I haven't seen any of this current season 3. How is it so far? And how far into it is it?
They just put out episode 7, so Nick is starting to do 2
Holy crap.
episodes. Yeah, they're starting to put out 2 episodes a week, starting this
wow.
past week. Yeah, I don't know why, but they are.
I mean, I'm not-
Yeah, so I was just like, oh, I had 2 episodes. Sweet.
Woohoo.
Yeah, it's going really well. It has an established objective and stuff. I was a little nervous with the end of the second season as to where they're going to go with the show because it kind of felt like, oh, you could probably end it here.
yeah.
I'm glad they're not because I feel like they could still do more with it. So what they are doing with it is really good. Like, I've really enjoyed it so far. So
I'll have to
Awesome.
start watching it again.
yeah,
I'll have to
so
start watching it in general.
yeah, so
There you go.
yeah, start watching it. First season's really good. It's kind of short. It feels really brief, but that's because it was supposed to be. Then the Nickelodeon said, "Hey, this is really popular and it's working out, so let's sign you guys on for more."
This can make us money. Here you go.
Yeah, and plus it's really good. So the second season had some issues with its footing, but eventually I think it kind of got there.
Halfway through season 2, it gets interesting.
Yeah, halfway through season 2 it gets super good, and then season 3 has been solid. So highly recommend it if you liked the first show, and even if you didn't see the first show, I think you could still get by and watch it. But
Awesome. Cool. Well, I haven't been up to that much. I just finished my last week at my old job, and I start my new job tomorrow,
yay!
which
Congratulations.
is exciting. Yeah, thank you. And I would have been playing some Dota this week, but my Mac decided to all of a sudden not turn on anymore.
He was
So-
saving this. Uh-huh.
No.
Yeah, I was saving this.
How long have you had it?
A year. I mean, when I looked online to troubleshoot, apparently it's a common issue with the power cord.
Oh, okay.
So, and we did get the Apple Care on it, so I got an appointment at the Genius Bar to hopefully get it fixed. But everything that I've been reading, it's not a huge
Whenever
issue.
I've heard
Should
people
be.
have issues with their Mac because of the power cable, I've never known it to be a big, huge detrimental thing.
Yeah. So that's what I'm hoping it is, and hopefully it'll be fixed by Wednesday. So
And,
there's that.
If it's gone forever, I wouldn't be surprised if next week you want a new one.
Oh, gee, thanks, James. Which reminds me, last week we talked about how I would never buy an Xbox One. 2 days later, I discovered that I won an Xbox One.
Oh, Jesus, are you kidding me?
No, I am
You are
not.
literally the worst person in the history of the world. The
Yeah.
worst.
That is exactly what Kenny told me
And
when
I've
I
read about
called him
this
to
guy.
tell him.
He was bad.
Is that why he said he hated you on Twitter?
Yeah, no.
Okay. No, okay.
I called him about an hour and a half after I got the email confirming that I had won it, and I called him, and the first words out of his mouth are, "I fucking hate you."
Yeah, I hate you too. You're
yeah.
such a douche.
So, woohoo!
can
So
play
I
with me.
also, yeah, I can play with you. I started playing Titanfall. The game is fun.
It's very fun.
That is such a good first-person shooter. I'm still getting used to the parkour stuff, but that's really neat that you can parkour. I find myself while I'm playing the game just going parkour, parkour. So thank you. I'm glad that was for you, James. It did take me a little while to understand that the multiplayer grunts are not actual people in that game.
Yeah.
So I started, like, I would kill a bunch of them, and I'd kill a couple pilots here and there, and I'd get to the end of the game and it said, "Oh, you only killed 7 pilots." I'm like, what? I killed much more than that. I was kicking ass.
Oh, all the
And
NPCs.
then, yeah, and then I realized what I was really doing. So that was cool. It's an enjoyable game. I like it. And what else? There was going to be something else that I mentioned. Oh, guess what started this week? The Destiny beta. And we have been playing... Yeah, I know. I noticed you forgot all about that.
I wanted to
You wanted to leave it until the end?
No, to you. You'd be able to do it.
Okay. Well, thank you. The Destiny beta is great, and as a matter of fact, if you have a PS4 and you are watching the show right now, get your pens and pencils ready, paper and pencils, because I have a North American PS4 beta code for you. The code is 3L45E7NJKE4J. All right, so whoever got that, congratulations. Add us on the PlayStation Network, and maybe we'll jump in and form a fire team together. What do you think of the Destiny beta, James?
I love it. It's the most fun I've had with a first-person shooter. I think Halo 2.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. It is a lot of fun, and it feels very Halo-like.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the weapons seem very Halo-like, and of course you've got the shields and health.
3-round burst, the single fire shots, the rifles. Well, the rifles feel different, the machine gun sort of things, but
That's
I
what
mean, they
I've heard
learned a
from-
lot from making the game, and they just made it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Halo feel is what I've heard from a lot of my friends. I'm gonna get a code for the Xbox One version when it comes out on Tuesday, but I'm kind of glad it doesn't come out on Tuesday because I've been so focused on Dota anyway. So
There you go.
I'm gonna have time for it. So
I had that issue with should I play Destiny or should I watch Sword Art Online? I don't know.
Well, Destiny is on for a limited amount of time until it comes out in September.
Yeah,
So-
but I'm into the show, so.
Gotcha. Well, the game's fun, and it's a great, brilliant topic to lead into our main topic for today of if video games and movies are announced too early. Destiny, I believe, is a game that was announced very, very early on. Does anyone remember the exact year they announced it?
What, Destiny?
Yeah. No? No one? We lost Miranda. I hope to get her back. This is
They did.
really, really good radio, me looking this up, so I'm going to stop looking it up. I feel like it was probably 4 or 5 years ago that they had announced it, which that really does seem like a long, long time to hear nothing about the game. And then all of a sudden, what was it, last year's E3, we get just flooded with information.
Yeah.
See right there? Bungie, flood.
Oh.
Eh?
That was clever. Nice. Well done.
Thanks.
Well played, sir.
Thanks.
Well played.
No, I mean, not to say that it's not worth it. The game has been fantastic in its beta and alpha form, but do you guys ever feel like you would just rather have the announcement for a game and then a year later it come out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think we need all of the lead up?
No.
Miranda, do you think we need so much lead up for video game announcements?
No, especially if it's like a year in advance. It's super, or no, more than a year in advance. I think is the cutoff. Like if you're gonna announce it like 2 years in advance before, that's just no, thank you. That's unfair and cruel.
Yeah. And
There
Kenny let me know. The game was announced in 2011 with a sneak peek. The 2013 was the first full reveal. I need to have somebody doing this all the time. Just have someone that's watching it and giving me the information I need.
We usually do. Our tweeters are pretty good about that. Every once in a while, if we're wrong, they're like, no.
I guess that is a fair point that you make. But again,
there are some games that I don't mind a long time, ahead of time announcement. If it's like a sequel of a game I'm hoping comes out, Like case in point, if I found out today that Half-Life 3 will be out in 5 years, then that's fine by me. All right, as long as I know they're making it. But as far as a unique IP, we don't need a 6-year. I mean, I guess you could say
the
the
one that
next.
everyone's been waiting for that was supposed to be out. They told us 5 years. It's been 5 years since they announced it.
The
Last Guardian?
Yeah,
The
The
Last
Last
Guardian.
Guardian. That's never gonna happen. Don't tell me, next, 2 years from now we're gonna do it, and then 2 years from now, the next year, the next year. That's super annoying.
We've had them had news about it right before E3.
Well, yeah, but it's unless you have something hard to show me, why announce it? Yeah, we're gonna do this. We don't have a team. Yeah. We don't have a trailer. We don't have art for you. We don't have anything.
Well, they had art. We've seen the
game.
They
had concept art.
Okay.
They also have a gameplay trailer they showed at E3 5 years ago, which is why it's so long. But I think typically with those that sort of situation, I think there's a lot of legal stuff going on people shifting in and out of the offices, hired, fired, moving on different projects. I don't know. I know that this is not the way they want it to go, and I actually know that legal reasons is a big thing with Half-Life 3 as well. It's some of the few details that they have let out is we really can't talk about it, but there's legal stuff going on, and that's all we can tell you.
See, but Valve has been good because they haven't announced that that's even being made.
That's true. That's fair.
I mean, one of my biggest issues with a lot of games is if you don't have a release date, a solid release date, I don't want to know that your game exists.
That's fair.
Because if you don't have a solid release date, there's absolutely no guarantee that your game will come out. I mean, I think a good example of this is The Last Guardian. It's they didn't have a release date then. We still don't have a release date now, and it's 5 years later. And say hello, listeners.
Hello, listeners.
At Albel_88 said Final Fantasy Versus 13, now changed to Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
That game was announced when he was 19, which was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that was that long ago.
Yeah.
Meadows 27. I mathed.
Good job. I'm so proud of your math. So I mean that is a huge amount of time between announcing a game and it coming out. And how many games has the developer of Final Fantasy made since 8 years ago? Since
I think at least one a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you count the mobile games, tons.
And don't forget a couple other games on 3DS.
Yeah.
Like, what's it called? Bravely Default.
Still no HD remake of Final Fantasy VII.
I don't think we ever
Just
will.
going to throw that out there.
I don't think we ever will.
Which is ridiculous. Because how many people want... Yeah. How many people want Final Fantasy VII remade HD if they're going to remake a game? What?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And I think it's weird that they made a 10 HD remake before 7. But I mean, they've released 7 on Steam on the PC, and that sold like crazy. So I think it's just a matter of they know they don't have to. They can just re-release it, make sure it works on modern PC, and make just as much money. Why put all the money making it over?
I heard it didn't work too well though when it transitioned over to PC or something like that.
Well, back when it came out on the PlayStation 1 and then the PC at the time, the PC copy was pretty glitchy. But I think the one they have now is all right.
That's what I heard. That the one that they have now isn't great. Because I thought about buying it because I've never played a Final Fantasy game, but I know. And I was like, oh, everyone's always just like 7, so I was just like, maybe I'll get it. And people are like, yeah, it doesn't work so well. And I was like, okay, never mind. I'll wait till it's better.
emulators.
I've tried them, Miranda. I don't find them that fun.
I think
Yeah.
I'd like it. I really like Persona. I like JRPGs.
Then, yeah,
I
if
mean,
you're an
I can
RPG
think
I
fan,
started out with 10,
Yeah.
and I mean, as much as I hated the grinding, the game itself was pretty good, and the story was fantastic. So,
Yeah, the saddest
Voice
thing about
acting.
getting from my
The story
Vita-
didn't grab me.
see, that's the only thing about
Voice
it that
acting
grabbed me.
was hilarious.
Yeah, it was.
God. Anyways, we're kind of veering a little bit off topic.
Right.
Another thing that is very, very prevalent when it comes to video games being announced so early is that we don't get actual gameplay footage. We get these CG trailers that are just... It's essentially glorified concept art, in my opinion. They might as well be showing us their artist renderings of what they hope it is, and that's what they show us, and it's not actually what the game is going to look like.
I
Or
think
you get
sometimes
worse.
yes, sometimes no. Like case in point, I would agree with you, like with Uncharted 4 at E3. All that the little trailer is we're officially announcing that we're making it, which doesn't surprise anybody, but it's cool to see. But then there are other trailers that it's a minute, maybe 90 seconds.
I will say I do fully believe that the Uncharted 4 trailer, that is what Uncharted will look like.
Oh, yeah, okay. No, I'm not saying like they hyped up the visual aspect of it or anything. But I'm saying there are some trailers for like the reveal. Like
Scalebound is a good... Oh, No Man's Sky? What about?
or Scalebound. Like from that you get a idea of what the world is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
You get just of how it's going to like move around and stuff like that. So it helps me think, okay, this is something I'm interested in. Because I just saw concept art for No Man's Sky, I've been like, eh. But the trailer and the little bit of gameplay they showed, I'm like, nah, this is definitely something I'm interested in.
Yeah, but then actually show real in-game footage and in-game gameplay, because Watch Dogs was a great example of this.
Yeah.
Because we saw a bunch of CG footage of Watch Dogs when it was announced, and then it comes out and it's nowhere near what it was hyped to look like.
Right.
I honestly believe of the games that are on next-gen consoles, and not to say that the game looks bad, but it is not the best example of next-gen graphics.
No.
Because I've seen much prettier games. I mean, just playing Infamous, that game is absolutely phenomenal. And even on the Xbox One, it's like Forza looks amazing.
Yeah.
But Watch Dogs is kind of meh. So I feel like some of these CG trailers are giving us false expectations of what the game could end up being like.
So when I was a kid, I had a Nintendo 64, and I used to see the trailers for the Final Fantasy games for the, like when it was the PS2 and stuff. So eventually I got the GameCube, and then the PS2 was out, and they had these crazy awesome CG trailers. And I thought that's what the graphics actually looked like, because I was just that young. I was like, wow, the graphic difference was just so crazy. And then I figured it out. It was just CG, and I was like, oh, less impressed now.
Yeah. But it's really terrible for the kids that can't even understand that. It's like you and I, when we look at a trailer, we can say, okay, so it's the CG footage. What's the actual game going to look like?
Uh-huh.
Right.
I
mean, I feel like as long as the trailer gives a good context as to what the game is, then I don't really have too much of a problem with it. But if it's just a title, it's like, oh, hey, we're gonna have this game come out, and it's called this. Here's some art. Not really, like the logo art or something. Oh, okay, it's some music. Okay, what was it? Catching Fire. I remember I was in theaters and there was a trailer for Catching Fire. And it's just literally the logo.
And
like,
bursting
the
in
whistle
flames.
Background. Yeah, that's what it was. I was just like, okay. There's like no date, no anything, like
But
maybe a
the
hashtag.
yeah, I think there was like a year, like not an actual date, but everyone kind of assumes it's going to come out a year from the one that you're watching at that moment. But the thing is like there's a book to go along with that, so you kind of know the backstory, you know? Like if you're into these books and movies, then you kind of know the backstory. It's like with a game, if they just tell you like even Uncharted, there's no book to follow along with that. You know, they can't just
Oh, that would be
give
amazing.
you a title. I mean, yeah.
But even with that trailer, that announcement sort of thing, I don't know, it was just annoying. I was like, why are you wasting my time? I could be learning about something else better. Get off here. Get off
For
this train.
movies, I feel slightly different, but we'll get into that in a minute. So my other issue with the whole CG trailer is that if they're showing a CG trailer, you know that game is nowhere near its completion because they don't even have a portion of the game that they feel is ready to be seen by the audience, which then runs into that same issue of, okay, so this game's announced, we got to see this pretty footage, are we actually going to see the game in the next year or 2 years, or is this going to become a Last Guardian, and it becomes a huge guessing game?
Yeah.
I think another big thing, and this bothers me a lot, and it happens mostly on PC right now, but both heads of Sony and Microsoft have talked about how they would like to implement the same kind of program into the console space, and that is early access. The idea of early access drives me absolutely nuts, because essentially what you're doing is you're paying for something that is completely unfinished, and you don't necessarily know if it's going to become finished or how soon it will become finished or anything like that. You're just buying into something that may or may not finish.
I don't feel like that's too bad, though. I mean, that's the risk on your part. You're taking your money and putting it in, nobody's asking you for it. It's not like Kickstarter where you're promised this certain good. You go into early access knowing that they're still developing it and that it could go to complete shit because they're just saying, hey, we're developing this and it's really cool and we got it approved and now you can get into it if you want and we're going to provide you all these updates. Whereas Kickstarter, it's like we are promising you this product and we're going to have it done by this time. So I feel like at least with early access, there's like a less promise. Like they already have funding, they already have all this thing that they're doing.
There's a lot less promise. I mean, even Valve had to update their terms of service on Steam to say if you buy a early access game, there's no guarantee that games are going to come out. It's like we're not liable if you're unhappy is kind of what they're saying because it's not our call. Which is like that's fine that they did, but the fact that like it had to get to that point where it's like we can't guarantee a pre-release game's going to come out, and they can't say for sure, yeah, our game's going to come out. It's like if you're selling a product, you need to be at that step where it's like, no, this will absolutely be finished. So the idea of kickstarting a project and then getting into their beta or their their early testing or whatever, that's fine because it's all part of the development process. You said I want to be part of that. I want to help make the game good. But to just go on Steam and be like, here's $25 for this. The trend now is it's the horror survival games that are early access stuff, and it's like every now and then we'll add some things and whatnot. But I've sworn off early access ever since Starbound.
Yeah.
I have Rust early access and I really enjoyed it. So
What game?
Rust.
See, that's I don't know. Like I haven't played it, so I'm not going to say the game's good or bad.
I did too,
like
and it kept crashing. So I'm kind of mad about that. I spent $20 and I have a game that doesn't work. But that is just me, and that is not everyone.
If you are listening to the show right now, tweet at RiddickulousRT, RiddickulousRT, and tell us your opinion on early access video games. So here's my issue with it. The four of us, we're mildly intelligent adult gamers, correct? Would you say that we are in that category?
Demographically speaking,
so.
When we read something as early access, we understand what that means. But there was a game, and I wish I remembered the name of the game, and I wish I had thought about it before the show so I could have had it ready. But there was a game where you could buy the early access at GameStop. So my problem with that is, as you guys remember when you were kids, your parents may not have been gamers, so them walking into a GameStop and seeing this game that you may or may not like, and and not understanding what early access is, they might have just picked it up not knowing that they were getting you an unfinished game. So it's not necessarily for the gamers themselves, but the people who have these relationships with the gamers that I'm worried about. They're going to be spending money on things that they don't understand.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And I think some people would kind of use that as an underhanded tactic to know they're going to make some money.
But that's wrong, James.
It is wrong, Ben. It is very wrong. Was the game you're thinking of WildStar online?
Yes, that was it. WildStar. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, my parents would have been one of those people if I had mentioned, oh man, this WildStar game that's coming out in the future looks like it's going to be a pretty fun game, and then birthday or whatever comes along and they go to GameStop to pick something up and they see this WildStar game and it's not the actual finished game and it may or may not get you into it. I don't know what I'm saying.
I understand. My parents would probably be like, oh, is this an okay game for a child first? And then maybe I may not buy it, but my parents are pretty good about that.
I mean, my fear is just becoming like what they're talking about with PlayStation, into moving early access games onto the PSN. And then there's the discussion, I was like, is that going to become the modern thing, is to get video game development into a certain phase of development and being like, all right, well, let's release it. If they like what we've made so far, then we'll keep funding it. It's like...
My philosophy on that is if your game is not good enough to convince a publisher to give you the funding, then why do I want it?
Right.
Except for, I mean, there are some indie games out there that are amazing, and I'm not trying to...
That's what I was going to bring up.
Yeah, I'm not trying to discredit how good indie games can be. It's just more of a... I feel like even with indie games, there's a way to get funding without... I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an indie developer, so I can't...
I want to bring up for this topic right here is Double Fine, if you guys know what that game developer is. It's a well-known, somewhat indie, like, I wouldn't really call them an indie, creator, but they're not, like, pushing titles to consoles anymore. That was just Psychonauts.
And stacking. Didn't they make stacking too?
Say what?
Didn't they make stacking too?
That wasn't like you didn't go out and buy the disc for stacking though.
Oh, okay.
That's what I mean. Anyways, for Broken Age, their latest game, they realized they weren't going to make enough money to finish it halfway through. So what they did is they, sold everybody and then released the first half of the game, which brought in enough money to finish it. So like, all right, so here's the first half of the game, and we're going to give you the second half when it's done, at no extra cost or anything like that. And if it wasn't a reputable developer, a lot of their fans would be like, "This is kind of bullcrap.
Yeah,
I
that'd
paid
be
for
super
the full
sketch.
game now." But most people who like Double Fine know that Tim is like, okay, he's a cool, good dude. He makes amazing games. They wouldn't do this unless they absolutely had to.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of throw your weight around in being trusted with that sort of thing on occasion, which I guess that's fine. But if you're a no-name brand or you're making this another survival horror game, it's like that's not enough for me to want to pay to beta test your game.
Right,
That's
exactly.
what it
That's
is.
basically what you're doing. You're paying to get in a beta, and the only reason I got Rust was because friends had been playing it and friends were having good experiences with it, and that's why I felt inclined to give my money to something that is early access. Like I had somebody who has been playing it, so it wasn't just me jumping in without knowledge of, oh, I think hopefully this will work, kind of thing. So that was like a benefit with that at least.
Hmm.
I can't speak for other early access. I don't usually go for early access games. It's like I'll get it when it's out usually.
Yeah.
Unless my friends are playing it and unless some actual shit's going down in it and it's something compelling, then
That's
What was
kind
the
of,
recent game that did crowdsource funding, and they got fully funded, and then they just... Oh, it was
Oh.
Mighty Number 9.
Yeah. No, wait. Finish with your because I was thinking
They,
of something else.
they got funded to make Mighty Number 9,
Mhm.
and then just recently they were like, oh, well, if you want voice acting in it, we're going to need another X amount of dollars. It was Mighty Number 9 that I'm thinking about, right?
I don't. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. This isn't what I was thinking of a second ago, so I can't say for sure. I will find out.
I know they opened up funding again through PayPal or something, but I wasn't too sure if they're needing extra funding for voice acting. I didn't hear about that, or I didn't see it. But I know they did open up funding again.
Yeah, he's right. They are seeking another $100,000 to add Japanese voice acting.
Yep.
Jeez.
So
Which,
much
come on, it's a Mega Man clone. Do we need voice acting in a Mega Man game?
But I think they really want it because apparently they're turning it into a TV show. So they want they want this to turn into a big thing, which from a marketing perspective, I get it. But yeah, you're right. It's a Mega Man.
Sonic the Hedgehog was a TV show, and they still didn't talk in the Sega games.
We don't talk about that show.
The show was the bomb.
No.
The bomb diggity, even.
No.
Anyways, do you guys have anything else you want to add to the gaming sphere of announcements being too early?
I feel like it would be all right if they weren't charging me full price.
Yeah.
You know, at least give like 10 or 20% off for selling me an unfinished product. But because then, like, I feel like there's a lot of people who are making games. They're like, oh, if we just get the early access, then we can slack off once we sell that because we got a month now. What do they care? They have a game, which there are some small companies that would do that, I'm sure.
One thing that I like that Rust is doing is they have a Trello account, which is basically kind of like an organizing program. It's software online that you can get to. You can just make an account, use it for whatever. And basically, there's a bunch of rows, and you can put different cards, assign tasks, make due dates and stuff. And they have a public Trello account that shows what they're doing and what they plan to be working on and all that sort of stuff. So they are documenting what they are doing, and I follow it, so I get a few updates almost every other day about what they're doing on the game. So it's nice to see that if you do invest in early access, look for things that guarantee that the developer is going to be working on it. If you're interested in that, like if you don't care and you're just like, hey, I'm gonna throw my money at this game, then go for it. But if you're a little bit more cautious about that, then you can look for those sort of guarantees that they are doing something with it still.
Yeah, I wish more people did that. Not just with early access. I just wish more developers did that.
Yeah, I agree. So let's go ahead and let's move on to movies.
Okay.
Movies, I think. Here's something that I could talk about movie trailers all day long. First off, let's talk about Marvel and their marketing, because Marvel is announcing at Comic-Con this year, like 5 more movies that are coming out in like 2017.
I thought they had their schedule through 2019 or something crazy like that.
Oh, was it 2019?
I think
I knew it was an odd number, and it was a
That's
teen.
what
And we're going to start hearing about these movies coming out in 2019 within the next couple of weeks. How do you guys feel about that?
Mad.
Really?
Mad.
I hate that so much. Don't tell me that in 4 years I get to see a movie. Like the new Batman movie, 2016. Just sometime, 2016. Are you kidding me? Just don't even let me hear about it. I don't want to know anything about it until I have 1 year to wait, because then it's like I get super excited and then I get let down and then I forget about it and then it comes back and I'm like, oh, well, whatever.
So you're saying hearing about it, when you hear about it, you get excited, but then the more time that goes by, you get less
I get
excited.
mad. Yeah, and I get less and less excited because it's like I'm waiting and waiting and waiting and all my excitement's gone or spent on other things.
Right. It's like, oh yeah, that one movie exists. Right.
Yeah.
So with like Superman vs. Batman, one of my big issues with that is there was a long time, like at least every other day for 2 weeks, we were getting, oh, Wonder Woman's going to be in this. Oh, Cyborg's going to be in this. Oh, Lex Luthor's going to be in this. Oh, this guy's going to be in it. Oh, this guy's going to be in it. It's like, well, when are you going to actually have time for a story if you're going to have all these people in it?
Yeah.
Because
And it's not even just that. It's like, oh, look at our costumes and look at our Batmobile. Okay, you're showing me the entire movie. Stop it. Like, let it be a surprise. I don't like seeing things before the trailer. And even when the trailer comes out, all I want is the tiniest little booklet. Like, trailers should not be more than a minute long. because I
Thank-
can't stand them. Don't
Thank-
show me things that I want to see in the movie. If you show me everything good right off the bat, you've lost me completely.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
And there are
Agreed.
actually a bunch of like regulations and requirements for movie trailers. Like I think like when you film a movie, you have to pick. I can't remember the number. I want to say at least seven shots or scenes.
Different
that
scene shots or something.
This has to be in the trailer. Like this has to be a trailer shot. It's like the
No.
big act.
No, it
stuff like-
doesn't.
yeah,
Show
those
me
things
in it,
exist.
Tell me the plot, and then
Like
just leave it
legally
alone.
speaking, you have to do that.
That's
That's
so
dumb,
stupid.
though.
It is really stupid. And back in the day, it kind of made sense because it was to get people to actually make trailers for movies when the whole industry was getting started. But now it's hurting it much more than it would help. So it's, ugh. So that some movies just have to be like, well, this is a plot point. That's 1 of 7. There's another plot point. It's an action shot, and so yeah, it's frustrating. I don't really mind finding out that movies are being made in advance, because it's like, all right, cool, I've got that to look forward to. But every time that, yeah, I've got this movie come out in 5 years, there's a bunch of movies that are coming out this year that I can be like, oh, let's watch this in the meantime.
Yeah, get me excited
I don't-
for things that are happening right now.
Yeah, like I don't mind finding out movies being made. I find out that, like, all right, let's drag out leaks or reveal little things about the movie over those 5 years. At that point, I'm like, all right.
That's like in job interviews, and they're like, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" Watching the new Batman.
That's a good one.
No, I think one of my so I'm trying to think of how to actually word my thoughts here, but I believe I started drinking too early this afternoon to
Did
be
you now?
moving as quickly.
1:30?
It was not 1:30.
Yes, it was. We were
Was it
playing
1:30?
Destiny.
It was
At-
1:30.
Wow.
It was my day off today.
Okay, buddy.
It is Sunday.
It is Sunday.
This is my second thing of beer. I mean, it's Dota Day.
It's Dota Day.
Screw you guys. It's my Monday. I gotta work at 10.
Oh
sorry.
no.
But so with movie trailers or with movies in general, they start to fuck somebody else talk for a second.
Okay. Words and stuff. Movie trailers. When they reveal plot
excited.
points.
I'm excited that they're announcing the movies that they're going to come out with. I never feel like I get movie things spoiled for me, maybe because I don't really pay attention to the movie scene very much. I just see trailers when I go see movies in the theater, so it's not really a big deal. But I do mind whenever trailers spoil plot points. So
Yeah.
when they start giving you just too much to kind of extend their trailers, or if they give you the best things in their trailers. You see that with a lot of comedies when a comedy just isn't very
Yeah,
strong.
big-
They put all the
that's
big
true.
things in the trailer, right? So that way you'll be like, oh, this is going to be really funny, and then you realize you just saw all the funny things in the trailer.
You know, it's interesting. I think the movies that give away the plot points of almost the entire thing, the worst genre is the romantic comedies.
Yep.
They all give away. I mean, because the plot hardly ever changes.
I was gonna say, I mean, every romantic comedy is
Yeah.
pretty much the same
But like
movie.
all
It's
like the character decisions and stuff, it's like, well, here it was in the trailer, so you know what you're getting. But I mean, the reason that they do all this stuff the same is because they found out that that's what makes the money. That's
Yeah.
what the masses go see.
So I've
Massive.
stopped watching trailers as much as I can. Like even in the movie theater when the trailers are going on, okay, I'll see the name for it or something, and then I just try to avoid it as much as possible. It's like if you have to progressively avoid it though, because there's so many like links to things on the internet that it's hard to just not click on them.
Yeah.
So it's like
So-
when
Well,
I see
that's-
something, I have to avoid it.
That's what I was trying to get to before. It's like with social media, it is almost impossible to avoid information about movies altogether.
Or spoilers.
For example, last week, Entertainment Weekly, the big cover story was Avengers: Age of Ultron. That cover was plastered everywhere. Me personally, I would have loved going into that movie having never seen a picture of Ultron until I saw him in the movie.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Ultron in the comics is such a cool character, and even reading the Entertainment Weekly article, which I didn't do, I just happened to hear about it through social media. It's like they're giving away key points of the story. It's pissing me off. There's too much information
Like,
being given on the story of the movie.
there's a trailer and then there's just a spoiler. Like,
Yeah.
you have to, the people that make these trailers need to make the distinction between that. Okay, are we giving somebody something that they want to know to entice them to come see this because that's what a trailer is? Or are we just giving them the movie in a nutshell and spoiling the whole thing?
But
Because that's what it's
sometimes-
becoming now.
Sometimes when you have to think that when they're giving you that much information, that there's got to be more to it. Like, especially with Marvel, I don't think they would just give you this really big piece of information without having something better in
They've
store.
done it before. They've given us a big piece of information in a trailer, and it
Right,
ruined
so
kind of what was
so-
going on.
what I was thinking about is How to Train Your Dragon 2. So, like, there's a big old thing revealed, like, straight up in the trailer. I was like, oh, that would have been an awesome plot thing that you
Yeah.
guys could have revealed. But you just told us, oh, okay. But then
So now
I
I'm
actually
accepting
didn't.
it.
Yeah, I didn't actually get to see the movie yet, but from people who have, like, from friends who have seen it, they told me that even though a big plot point was kind of just revealed in the trailer, it doesn't spoil the
No,
entire movie.
It does
and,
not
like,
spoil
all
the entire movie. Like, that was not that big of a spoiler.
And that's
I mean,
not so bad when that happens. It's I don't know if you want to say that's like a good knowledge of what you're doing when you're making a trailer when you make people think there's a spoiler when there's actually not. But
James, to me, them showing Ultron and giving story points away is like Entertainment Weekly.
That's total. That's total.
But it's
crap.
like Entertainment Weekly publishing on their front page when Harry Potter 6 came out, Snape kills Dumbledore. Like,
What?
well, thanks.
No way!
So I kind of feel like maybe they published it just because people like me who don't know who Ultron is, like, who's Ultron? Let's
Yeah,
give a
same
face
here.
to this name. It's like Age of
Yeah.
Ultron. What's an Ultron?
Or the masses.
Okay.
Well, that's why you watch
Yeah,
the movie,
so-
to find out what Ultron is. Is it a thing? Is it a
Exactly.
person? Is
Maybe,
it a place?
unless-
Is it,
Yeah. Maybe
So I
it's just-
totally don't mind figuring things out while the movie's going. Like,
Right.
I don't need every little thing pointed out.
Yeah, but that seems like a big part of
But
the
see,
movie. But it doesn't seem like a big secret, though.
But if it's a
I mean,
big
it
part of
doesn't
the
seem like it should
movie,
be a big
wouldn't you
secret.
figure it out while watching the movie?
I mean, his name's in the title, so I don't feel like it would be a big secret. I feel like I feel like
I-
that's something I would see in a trailer anyway, unless he's
The
supposed to
Winter
be.
Soldier final, and in the comics, it's a long while until you learn, the full depth of what that even is. So I mean, that just because it's in the title doesn't necessarily mean.
So in the last Hobbit movie, I had no idea who Smaug was. I had no idea. And I watched one trailer. I found out who he was by watching the movie. Like, you get it, you understand it. I mean, it's
Right,
not.
no, but I'm just saying it's a really good marketing tactic. She's like,
Nikki,
hey,
I
this is
think
this really cool
Smaug
bad
is a
guy.
really bad example.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
That
it's an
book has been
example.
out for a really, really long time.
I also don't read them, and I also didn't enjoy this last one, like you already know. I'm just saying, it's an
Enjoy the
example.
bubbling barrels down the river.
Oh my god, that was so fantastic.
I liked it because
Movie
Orlando
magic.
Bloom. That's all that matters.
I
Great
would have
time
liked
for
him
him.
had he looked like he usually does, but they made him look like a fake piece of wax. That was weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
He
Anyway,
looked a little too much in the makeup, but I still didn't care.
I honestly didn't believe
Oh,
it was
man.
Orlando Bloom for a little while in that movie because he looked so different. But anyway, so going back to movie trailers and just
Oh,
spoilers in general. That's what we
That's
were
a-
talking about.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Just one last thing, is if I feel like I wonder if movie trailers piss off people who make the movies as much as fans, because they're like, you're just giving away like my well thought out plot point that I've slaved on for months or maybe years on this movie. Because the people who make the movies, I don't really know, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't really have the final say in the trailer, because the trailer is marketing
Right.
and movie making is movie making.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to know. See what the directors and people who work on the film. think
We'll get
about
a
the
big
trailers.
shot director on the podcast sometime. We'll ask them then.
Yeah, James Cameron
Production.
on in 2 weeks, by the way.
Yay.
That's not true. I just want to throw that out there to our viewers. That's not in fact true. At
I know,
all.
But
Ben
Or is
lies
it?
a
Y'all
lot.
can tune in 2 weeks from now to find out.
so
Go
I
ahead.
don't know. I just love movie trailers, though. Like, I know Nikki says that she tries to avoid them at all costs, but it is like my goal to make sure that I'm there before the movie so I can see all the trailers because I love the trailers a lot.
So what
Yeah.
is it about the trailers that sucks you in then?
I just like to see what's coming out because, like I said, I don't really pay attention to movie news. Very rarely will I actually investigate what's going to go on in the movies. Usually because something I love is being turned into a movie, or there's going to be something related that's going to be a movie. Uh, with the Marvel or DC comics, those I'll kind of look into. But that's about it. Like that's as far as I go. So I really look to those trailers to really preview what's coming out. That's really what I do. I mean,
See, I used to like them when they weren't as long as they are now. They're like 5 to 7 minute trailers, which is ridiculous. And it's like, give me a minute or two, show me the base. Now I'm over them now.
Yeah.
I will say though, there are some movies that I love the trailer, and then the movie either sucked or was meh.
Yeah.
So
It's because they showed you all the good points in the trailer. Like comedy movies now, they'll give you every joke right up front, and then you're watching the movie and you know where that joke is, and you're like, aha, that wasn't as funny.
Mm-hmm. Except for like the really, really good comedy movies.
like A Million Ways to Die in the West. That movie was
God,
hilarious.
Oh, you saw it? I want to see it really bad.
That movie, that's a good movie.
But granted, that was Seth MacFarlane, and he's fantastic and is funny at everything.
Yeah, that was good. It was good. So another thing, so going with that movie trailers being too inclusive, I want to hear from you guys. What movie trailer in your lifetime that you have seen have you watched and thought, oh man, I wish that had been in the movie and not in the trailer? So what I mean by that is the one that stood out to you the most. I know, Miranda, you mentioned How to Train Your Dragon 2, having that big plot point, but I'm talking movies where it did actually affect the movie itself.
So, did you guys see the last Airbender movie?
No, I did not.
Yes,
But my wife went and saw that movie with the rest of my family, and she told me it was horrible.
It was so bad. And there were things in the trailers that didn't make it to the film, and that made it even worse.
Oh.
That happens
So,
every now.
like the Kyoshi Warriors, they're a big deal, and then the director said he took them out because they overshadowed, like, Aang's journey and stuff. I was like, oh, okay. That was just
Not the
movie,
horrendous
but-
acting or direction or writing or anything like
Yeah,
that.
I blame the writing more than the direction more than the acting. Like some of those people are like, oh, you're kind of okay in other things, but this is just a terrible script. Like the characters were not the actual characters from the show. They didn't feel right, and obviously, there's a lot of things wrong with that.
But the trailers gave you false hope for the movie.
Yeah, super false hopes because things that were in them weren't even included. So, I mean, like really big things, not just little. Oh, that was just a short shot that could not be in the film, wouldn't affect the thing, but shots that were actually a big part. So, yeah.
How about you, Nikki? Can you think of any movie trailers that gave away something that you saw that kind of ruined the movie for you?
I mean, I don't have like a specific one, but for the most part, I mean, I don't know. Most of them do now. I don't like to see as much as they're putting out. You know? I don't know.
Okay.
I try to avoid them, so I just... Shut up. I just try to avoid them so much that I don't see them now, but I know back when I was a teenager probably, but I can't specifically remember.
Gotcha. James, how about you?
I can't think of one actually.
Okay. Well, I'll talk about one of mine
I
if you
think
want.
more TV shows when they come
Okay.
out. Like Doctor Who, I think is a pretty bad culprit for that with their big events and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like having going through the show from when they kind of rebooted it to where it's at now. I didn't know at what point new doctors would be coming in, when companions would be coming in, like all that was changing. But as it got closer to where they are now, it's like, oh, the Christmas special, oh, Matt Smith's final episode. It's like, I would like to not know this stuff because it's like, okay, well, let's see how he dies, or let's see how this goes. It's like, no, I didn't know what was about to happen to the doctor, and he was about to die right now. So that makes, like, holy crap, that's insane. So, like, that's more progressive stuff like that, like the storylines. That's what bugs me. You know, if it's a one-off movie that I don't know anything about, I might not like it. But if I don't know the story and I think the trailer was bad, or I just be like, all right, well, you lost me as a customer. I'm not going to pay money to go see your film.
So that's why I'm glad that I don't have like cable anymore and I can't watch commercials, because those piss me off really bad. It's like Grey's Anatomy was the worst at it. After that episode, they were like, all right, next week, who dies? And they show you like 4 people. And I'm like, well, thank you. Thank you so much for just telling me someone dies. So the whole time I expect it, and then I'm like, well, they died. I'm not, sad anymore. If they would have just let me watch it, like when I watched it on Netflix and I can't see any spoilers or anything, I get sad when those people die and it comes out of nowhere. But when you expect it and those commercials like ruin it for you, it's just so horrible.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So for me, the movie that sticks out to me is would have to be Star Wars Episode 1. We talked about it a little bit before the show, but I feel like there's a big reveal in the trailer for Star Wars Episode 1 that would have just been so amazing to see in the movie on the big screen first, as opposed to it being revealed in the trailer. Now, I will not say that this being revealed in the trailer is what made that movie not the best Star Wars movie ever, but I feel like I would have enjoyed the reveal better, and that is Darth Maul's lightsaber. It's like the very first trailer that comes out, you see this weird dude with a partially red and black face with horns coming out of his head, and he holds out this lightsaber that lights up on one side, and then 2 seconds lights up on the other side. And it's like, whoa, that's so cool. And then nothing really cool happened in the movie. Yeah.
Except for Jake Lloyd's acting. That was amazing.
Jake Lloyd's acting in that movie was amazing. The best acting I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my big one. And I think we're at a pretty good point where we can wrap up. What do you guys think?
I'm with you, buddy.
Yeah, I don't have much more on early reveals. I think we're pretty
Next
much
week on
exhausted.
Ridiculous Rants, one of the co-hosts will die.
Good thing I'm not a special co-host.
Spoiler, it's Miranda. That's why she's not here.
I would like to live, thank you.
Real quick, just to let our listeners know what you should definitely be doing tomorrow being July 21st, or if you listen to this podcast later, make sure to, retroactively do this. Send a tweet to @KennethScottH wishing him a very happy birthday, because he's like 250 years old tomorrow, and I think he would really appreciate some birthday wishes. That being said, guys, this has been another episode of the Ridiculous Rants podcast. Be sure to follow the podcast @RidiculousRT on Twitter. You can follow Nikki on Twitter and pretty much everywhere else on the internet @HarleyQuinn103. On Twitter, you can find James @Ser_Capelli. That's SER_CAPELLI. And then, of course, Miranda. I almost forgot. Do we want to make our announcement?
That's where I thought we were going with that a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Spoilers, but it's not really a spoiler.
It isn't a spoiler. It is an announcement.
The suspense is killing me. What is it?
So, starting, what is it, this Friday? Starting 3 years from now.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years
To
from now.
premiere in 2017, Miranda and
Next week. No.
Next week.
Yeah, this week. We'll figure that out. I think it's this week.
It's either this week or next week.
What are those weeks?
It's soon. Miranda and I are starting a brand new show on the Nerdy Knights of the Round Network entitled Extra XP. The show will revolve around the month's news for Xbox and PlayStation, where we are going to try to kind of have the news battle each other to determine which console is winning the month, which console you should be spending your money on that month, and what you should be anticipating. So be sure to tune in. Tune into Twitter. We'll be telling you on Twitter. You can follow us at NKRProd to figure out when exactly that will air. And then Kenny You can follow at Kenneth Scott H, and he has also another Destiny code to give you guys for the PlayStation 4 in North America, 7RLHMLNE729E. All right, so enjoy that Destiny code beta, thanks to Kenny Haynes, who you should be wishing a happy birthday tomorrow. You can follow Miranda on Twitter at Havoc Rose. She's also a freelance writer on IGN, as well as a co-host with Nikki on a show called The Lipstick Nerds. So make sure to catch them every other week when they decide to actually make sure they keep up with that schedule.
We keep up with every other week. We record every other week.
Yeah.
We do a pretty good job.
You've missed a couple of weeks here and there.
We get to them, okay?
Okay. I'm just saying. I'm just letting you know.
We've caught up.
Not everyone just sits at home in front of his computer all day.
Because that is exactly what I do all day long,
that's
every
all
day.
You do. Bum.
So, you can also follow me on Twitter at Ben Riddick. And be sure to tune into the podcast every Sunday night at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time at www.nkrn.org/podcast live. Guys, it's been another ridiculous night. And remember, you can't spell ridiculous without Riddick.